That guy, Daniel, he has nothing to show for the decade of work that he put into that company. He can't even go 2 weeks without working because he doesn't have the money, because they only paid him $15 an hour to do his job. That just sucks. It just pouring your blood, sweat, and tears into a company, working sometimes double shifts in the kitchen, sweating for 14 hours, sometimes with no break. And you're doing that for years and years. It takes a toll on your body, but it also takes a toll on your psyche, especially when there's no improvement to be had. All right, fellas, so I know a lot of you out there are either working a retail job right now, or you have worked a retail job and you never want to go back to that kind of work environment. If you're watching this video, you might be able to relate to my story and how I escaped. And ultimately, this is for those out there that feel like they're kind of stuck in a rat race, or the matrix, as some would like to call it. And I'm gonna give you a step-by-step plan on how to drag yourself out of that situation based on the steps that I took 4 years ago when I was in the same position. So first up, just know that most young men have gone through retail hell, as I like to call it. And yes, retail hell. It's very difficult to find somebody that has worked a retail job and they're like,
oh yeah, that's like the best position that I've ever had. I was having so much fun. I loved my coworkers. I loved my job.
Do they exist? Yes, I'm sure they do. But for most of us that have worked these kind of jobs, they are not fun. We don't enjoy going to work, and we definitely don't enjoy the pay that they provide, which is often either minimum wage or just above minimum wage to kind of keep you there working because you're making just enough to survive, but not really anything to make any dent in the universe when it comes to your own financial plans. And even thinking back to my time working in retail, the only real good experiences that I had that I still use with me to this day are gonna be the social skills that I was able to develop by being able to mingle with my management, my coworkers, and also customers, whether they're positive or negative. Those skills are the more important aspect of the job, not the pay for the short term. So keep that in your mind as well. Like, think of it as almost you are working the job so that you're able to build social skills that will allow you to succeed later on in life to a higher degree, versus working the job to make the money to stay alive. Because if you try to reframe it and you try and think of the positive side of the job, it's going to be a lot easier for you to enjoy your time there while you are there. Doesn't mean you shouldn't have a plan to escape, but it does mean that rewiring your mind to look for the positive in the situation that you're in almost always going to benefit you one way or another. You need to ingrain in your brain, like literally it needs to be part of who you are every day when you wake up, that retail cannot be the be all end all. It cannot be the final destination in your career. It must be a stepping stone. And there are absolutely no other ways or avenues to go about it. It must be a stepping stone. It cannot be the be all end all. Even if maybe your job is like, hey, in a couple years, you might have a chance to be a shift lead or a key holder or a manager even. Do not take that. Please, I'm begging you, just take a step back and be like, okay, yes, is there some opportunity here? Maybe, but the opportunity that I'm passing up by staying here for X amount of time to even maybe get this opportunity, it's completely wasted because I'm throwing away my potential, my youth, my energy to build something real and sustainable that's gonna help me live the life that I want to live 10 to 15 years from now. The last thing that you want is to be in the same position 5, 10, 15 years down the road, because it's gonna suck just as bad. Plus, you'll have that guilt of wasting all those years of your life, especially if you're young, working in that same situation. Just think about a guy or girl that maybe you work with directly, and they've been at the job for 7, 8+ years doing the same thing, and they clock in, they clock out, they come to work, they're there. They've been stuck in the same position doing the same thing for 7 to 8 years. That would hurt my soul, let alone my brain and my heart and all of the other organs that I have inside of me. It would just suck. You don't want to be like them. I'm sure you have that one person at work that you're like, man, like I do not want to end up like them in 8 years. They look miserable. And that all comes from not having a plan to escape initially. I knew one of these guys when I was working as a cashier at Buffalo Wild Wings. And that's what I was doing. I was basically serving customers and taking their orders and going to the kitchen and bagging food and stuff like that. And I knew this cook, his name was Daniel, and he had been working at Buffalo Wild Wings for, oh gosh, almost 10 years at that point. And there were multiple times where he quit his job, or maybe he got fired for a minor reason or something, and he would always have to come back because he would have a little bit of money saved up from working, and then eventually he would be so broke and he had people to provide for that he just had to come back to the same job that he hated over and over again. And this would repeat multiple times throughout the year and change that I was working there. I mean, there were stories of this happening even before I was there and even after I'm gone. I've seen him and he's kind of in the same rut, so to speak. He was working as a cook for maybe 35 to 39 hours a week, not 40, because unfortunately what happens in corporate America is if you work 40 hours a week, companies are required by law to give you benefits like healthcare, dental care, etc. And so what a lot of the hourly or part-time positions will pay, especially in retail, and I'm sure some of you guys can relate to this, is they'll cap your hours at 35 or 36 or something, and they'll never give you that 40-hour threshold. And so that's what happened, unfortunately. They didn't get any benefits. Nobody working there got benefits unless you were the general manager, the kitchen manager, the hospitality manager, etc. But that guy, Daniel, I feel bad for him even to this day. He has nothing to show for the decade of work that he put into that company. He has nothing to show for it. He can't even go 2 weeks without working because he doesn't have the money, because they only paid him 15 bucks an hour to do his job. That just sucks. It just pouring your blood, sweat, and tears into a company, working sometimes double shifts in the kitchen, sweating for 14 hours, sometimes with no break, and you're doing that for years and years. It takes a toll on your body, but it also takes a toll on your psyche, especially when there's no improvement to be had. Let that fear guide you. Let what happened to Daniel in my situation, and even what could potentially have happened to me if I didn't take action, guide you. You do not want to be in the same place that you are 5 years from now. Do everything you can so that you don't have to wake up 5 years from now and look back at all the time that you wasted because you didn't have a plan. Now here's what I did. As a cashier, I had some free time, and basically any retail job, you're gonna have some dead time, some free time, some open areas where you don't have a whole lot going on. You have a little bit of time to just sit back and relax and take it easy. That's what most people did. Some of my coworkers would go back into the kitchen and they would go on their phones and like text their friends, or they would have a conversation with somebody that is working as well. But what I did is I took the opportunity of that free time when there weren't a lot of customers that I had to keep occupied and provide services for. I would go on my phone, and I was growing a social media presence on Twitter. The handle is still available. It's called Lord of Ads. And you can see date back years to all of my tweets that I posted on how to run a digital marketing campaign on Meta and TikTok. So basically paid social advertising, a high income skill that I was then able to leverage in the future to find a high paying corporate remote position that paid me 90,000 bucks a year. And that would have never been possible if I didn't grind for 8 months. And during that 8 months, it was literally every shift that I was working, I was on my phone during my free time, and I was tweeting and replying to tweets and researching and trying to come up with new ways to grow a following. And when I was at home and I wasn't at work, I was on Twitter researching how to improve my account, how to find new people, how to DM properly, like all of those little tactical and strategical things that I needed to grow. I was doing every hour of every day, unless I was playing video games, if I'm being honest. There was a couple times where I just zoned out and did that. But yeah, that's how I escaped. I grew a social media presence around a skill, particularly a high income skill that I knew there were a lot of corporate positions out there that needed that kind of skill set. So that's what ultimately I would recommend to you. If you're working a retail job right now, or maybe you're taking a break and you're not working, but you really don't want to go back to working retail, what I would do is I would sit down and do some serious research on some of the topics that you're interested in and that you have some kind of passion for as it relates to a high income skill set. There's a ton of things you can do. You can try copywriting, you can try doing digital ads, you can do graphic design, video editing, customer support, software development. There's a ton of different skills, and you don't have the excuse of nothing fits for you, because something eventually will. Once you find that one thing that you want to really dedicate, you take 6 months and you knock it off. You're like, all right, this next 6-month period, I'm going to focus on working. I'm gonna put all of that energy into trying to learn and grow my network and this skill. The way I did it was with a social media presence, but maybe you want to work for free for companies instead of building a social media platform, and you want to do some free projects to build your portfolio. That totally works as well. You need to get your foot in the door. You need to have examples. And then after that 6-month period, when that's said and done, start applying to entry-level positions in that field. It's gonna take hundreds of job applications before you finally get an offer, but once you get that offer, it's all worth it. You only have to win once. And yes, you're going to be outcompeted, you're gonna have little to no experience, you're gonna have to bolster your interview skills, especially when you've never worked a position like that before, but it's all gonna be worth it when you get that offer for 50, 60, 70, 80, in my case, 90,000 bucks a year. You're gonna be able to quit your job, you're gonna be able to enjoy life again, and you're gonna really wish that you had done it sooner. Take a look at the chessboard, see what the best possible move for you is, and then execute on that move. And honestly, being broke helped with that, because I had my back against the wall every day that I went into work. I knew that even though I was giving all of this energy and I was feeling like crap afterwards, I was coming home with $100 after tax or $80 after tax. And I was like, man, I just worked this entire shift, my entire day, for $80. And of that $80, most of that is going to rent, gas, and food. I don't even have any of that money really to spend on myself and grow myself in the future. I was basically losing money every time I went to work, but I needed to do it anyway just to pay the bills. Let that fear, let that power guide you forward and give you that confidence you need to put in the work every single day. So here's the 3-step breakdown, TLDR of the video. Number 1, you need to pick a skill that's gonna pay you a lot of money. You need to focus on that skill for at least 6 months. Number 2, you need to apply to entry-level positions and just continuously upgrade your resume, figure out how to do job interviews properly, and get that offer. And then number 3, accept that offer, work that position for maybe 1 to 3 months, and then quit your retail job just so you know you have nothing else that you need to fall back on in case something were to go wrong. And that's it. It takes anywhere, the whole process, from 6 to 12 months, but if you dedicate yourself to it and you really give a shit, you'll be able to do it. If you enjoyed the video or learned something useful, please drop a like rating. It really does help with the YouTube algorithm. It helps this video get shown to more people. And if you have a story that maybe you want to share with me, drop a comment down below as well. I love the discussions. I will respond to every single comment. If the video gets like 1 million, 2 million views or something, which would be awesome, I don't know if I'd be able to respond to every comment. Yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on the video. And until next time, cheers.